Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see by the title of this video, this is going to be my first video in my kind of my new moving series. Essentially, I'm going to take you guys along as Phil and I flat hunt. So I'm currently filming in my new place, which is very exciting. One of these flats that I showed you guys in this video is obviously one of the ones that we went through. Yeah, Phil and I started flat hunting at the end of March. We got married kind of the end of April. It was Anzac weekend. We knew that the next place that we moved to we wanted to be at for quite a while. We're here for a minimum of a year, which is super duper exciting. Phil and I knew that once we got married we wanted to move somewhere together and just live together and just enjoy being husband and wife. So yeah, I'm super excited for you guys to see this footage. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this footage and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to chat to you guys just about the flats that we viewed and our thoughts, and then I might overlay some footage as I talk through them so you guys can kind of know what ones I'm talking about. So yeah, without further ado, let's go flat hunting. So yeah, that is essentially all the footage that I took. So I believe we went to 7 flats. We kind of looked in different parts all around Auckland, just to really kind of get the best idea. I've written everything down on my phone, so if I'm looking down and not specifically looking at the camera, then that is why. And I do apologize if you guys can hear the wind outside. It is an extremely windy day today. We just wrote pros and cons. Both Phil and I wrote these lists together. Flat one was actually kind of a top contender for us. We really loved this place. It was super duper cute. It was very light. Pros were that it was private, which was something that was really important to us. It was fenced, which was a massive thing, so it was really good for pets. We did also ask the agent there if we would be able to get a dog there, and she said yes, which is really cool. We liked the structure. We really liked the roof, how kind of like old school style. Phil really liked the sliding doors in each of the rooms, because when you went into the rooms you had to slide the door across to obviously shut it. There was a decent amount of cupboards in the kitchen, which was great because Phil and I do have a lot of kitchen stuff. It was dry, it wasn't damp, which obviously is a big thing. It had a heat pump. It was very green and had a good backyard, which was really important. We wanted to move to a place that had a really nice backyard. It had a shed which we could use to store some stuff. There also was room for us to like put extra sheds around the garden as well, just for extra storage. Phil likes that it was a little bit more of like a kind of like a DIY project. Yeah, kind of just like you could really make it a home with a little bit of TLC and a little bit of creative vision, and I quite liked that as well. At first I was kind of a bit like, oh, there is like a little bit of work, but I definitely could see Phil and I living there and making it look like a really cute place. There weren't very many people interested in it, which obviously boosted our chances if we wanted to apply for it. There was a train station a few blocks over, which was really important because this place that we looked at was quite far from work for both Phil and I. And then the last pro was that there was a clothesline, which obviously is really important because we want to be able to hang our clothes outside. Now we get into the cons. No bath. Small bathroom, which again, I like to spend a bit of time in the bathroom, just like getting ready, having a shower, doing my skincare, all that stuff. The laundry was in the kitchen, which kind of sucks because I feel like that was kind of the same with our previous apartment, and it just kind of doesn't make sense in my opinion. I feel like there should be a separate room for laundry. There was no pantry in the kitchen, although there was room to get a cupboard or like a shelf that you could stand up and use as a pantry. So that's kind of like a con, but a con that you can kind of work around. No built-in wardrobes slash small wardrobes, which are not great. I don't really vibe well with small wardrobes. In my last place I had a massive closet, which I absolutely loved. I did a closet tour, so I'll leave that video down below and in the eye if you guys want to go and watch it. I have a lot of stuff, so I can't store everything that I've got in a small closet. There were 2 closets, but it wouldn't have been enough to store like even probably half of my stuff. The biggest thing for us that was a con was that it was only a 6-month tenancy. It was because the owner wanted to develop it a little bit further. It meant that we would have to only live there for 6 months, which we really wanted to move to a place that we could stay at for a really long time, essentially. And with that place, it wasn't a guarantee. The agent thinks that the guy wouldn't be able to develop it in 6 months just because all the building materials and stuff are kind of scattered from COVID this year, so it's just not ideal, essentially. And by the way, all of these flats that we looked at are within our price range on what we wanted to pay for like rent and utilities. The second place, the pros, it had a nice interior, had a bath. The kitchen had a lot of cupboard space, so it was really good for storage. It was newly refurbished. It had built-in wardrobes, which was a massive plus over the first place. It had a storage closet, which we thought was great for like linens and bedding and like the vacuum cleaner and whatnot. I personally really love. It had a bit of a backyard and it had parking for a car, which is great because Phil and I have a car between us. There was parking at the first place as well, but it was on the road, whereas the second place, I believe it was in like a little garage. Cons: the stovetop was gas, which sucks because then you would have to pay extra for gas. I don't know how much that would cost, but we just kind of factored it as an extra cost. The laundry was separate to the flat, which was the same as in our first flat that we ever rented, which to be honest is not great. I feel like I can't really leave my washing there for too long. I feel like I've kind of got to sit there to make sure nothing gets stolen. But the biggest con for us was that it wasn't private. It was joined in as a complex. I don't know if I filmed that it was a complex or not because I didn't really want to film a whole lot of other people. It could be really, really noisy, and it could be really, really difficult to have people over, and Phil and I knew that the place that we moved to next, we wanted to be able to have people over easily and just kind of glorify God in our flat. And if we've got people around us that are like drinking and yelling, it's just not a great environment. And then the other con with it not being private was that we couldn't have pets. Flat 3, the pros: the location is so nice. It had a big yard, it had a carport to park, the laundry was in the bathroom, so I feel like the laundry and the bathroom are kind of okay to be together. It had a patio, which is really, really cool. It had a dishwasher, which is awesome. We love saving time on dishes. It is spacious. The shed, it was kind of like a storagey shed space outside, which is great. You can put a whole lot of stuff in it. It belonged to that flat, so no one else was going to use it. And there were also cupboards inside and kind of like around it as well that you could use to store stuff, and it was private. So I would say this was probably like our 4th option that we really, really liked. So definitely like one of the top contenders. The cons: the kitchen was yellow, which I really don't like. The kitchen was falling apart a little bit, so it did need a little bit of TLC. The thing that we kind of were put off by it, and the biggest con for us, was that it was only a 7-month tenancy, and that was non-negotiable. So again, we couldn't really be there for a long period of time. I think the reason for that was that the grandparents who owned the place were overseas, and then they were planning on coming back in 7 months time, so I think they were then going to live in that place, so that really sucked. It could be quite far out location wise for public transport. It was a beautiful area, but yeah, it was quite far out. There was no bath, no extractor fan, and only a small window in the bathroom, and the bathroom was very, very blue. And then the wardrobes were yellowing at the top, which we thought potentially could be a sign of dampness, but we weren't 100% sure. So now we move on to flat 4. So flat 4 for us was our favorite place that we looked at. It was definitely like our #1, and if we had to move somewhere, we really, really wanted to move here. So the pros: dry and healthy flat, which is awesome. Our first ever flat that Phil and I moved into was damp, and it was such a nightmare to live there. This is a really, really weird pro, but the carpet was so soft. Like, you could quite happily walk around barefoot and just feel so just like fancy, and it just, yeah, felt so luxurious. The place was new. It was kind of like a new build that was added on. So this flat here is like the downstairs unit of somebody's house, but it's like quite separate to the house, which is nice. There is so much storage, and this was the thing that Phil and I really, really liked. The owners said that we could store our holiday decor and our bikes in the garage. There is a backyard, which again was a big thing for us. We want to be able to go out and like sit on the grass on like a nice day. There was parking on the street. It is a beautiful location in a nice neighborhood. It's a really, really nice kitchen. Has big furniture items, but not cutlery and like crockery and all that. I thought would put me off. Phil and I kind of looked at it as it is a cost that we wouldn't have to buy up front, which ended up being a pro for us. It has good airflow, like lots of windows throughout the flat. The laundry is kind of in the bathroom, and it is a nice bathroom with a lot of cupboard space. It is private. It has a clothesline outside to be able to hang clothes, and there is a bus stop close by, which is great because this flat was a little bit far away from work as well. I'm just going to change my battery because this one is dying on me. Okay, hopefully I'm kind of in the same position. My battery just died, so I have just changed it over. Obviously a lot of pros for flat 4, more pros than any of the other places that we looked at. So now we move on to the cons. So some of the cons were like small cons, and some of them you could kind of work around. So the first con was that the laundry was shared with the owners. Again, not a big massive deal, but it just meant that obviously we've got to like be careful when we are doing our washing. The bathroom is still downstairs, but it is separate to the actual flat, so you would kind of have to like walk through the little hallway downstairs to get to the bathroom. Again, not a massive con, but just a little bit of an inconvenient one. There was no bath, no pantry, but room for like a cupboard or a shelf next to the kind of like kitchen area, which again isn't a big con. It just is something that you would have to buy. There was no oven or stove top, but they do have ones here that you can use. They have like a little induction cooker thing, and then they also had like a little oven that you would have to use to cook stuff. So again, it's just more like inconvenient, but it's something that you can kind of work around. No dishwasher, again something you can work around, and no extractor fan in the bathroom. They do have a window that you could open, but yeah, just no extractor fan. Flat 5. So flat 5 was a bit of an interesting one because we didn't actually film it because the tenants were still living there, and we didn't really want to film a whole heap of their stuff and then put that on the internet. So essentially I'm gonna have to like talk through with you guys for this one. So the pros: it was private, it was very green and had a nice view, it had a balcony, it had a good size kitchen, it was very open, had reasonable storage, parking on the street, and it was a dry, healthy home. So nothing crazy for the pros. The cons: the 500 rent only included the rent, the lawns, and the Wi-Fi, so we would have to pay extra for power, and then obviously like groceries and stuff on top of it, which does start to get a little bit more expensive. There was paint on the handles of like the door handles and the wardrobe handles, which kind of for Phil and I just felt like the place had kind of been rushed to be finished rather than had a little bit of like TLC involved essentially. No bath, couldn't have a dog, it was not fenced, the rooms were quite small and the overall place was quite small, and then we were quite cautious of the front house because it was on the same section, so it felt like it was one big place, and the clothesline was shared. Flat 6 again was interesting because I was a little bit late to the viewing in saying that, but then the agent left and didn't even say that they were leaving, and so I got to the place and then couldn't go inside because the agent had already left, and then I had scheduled another viewing with them and then someone else took the place. Flat 7 was actually quite surprising. So flat 7 was one that we liked a lot more than we thought we would, and yeah, overall was quite a cute little place. So the pros: we put cute kitchen and good storage. Now in the clips, I know with this flat none of the kitchen cupboards or even in the bathroom I don't think had like the handles or like the doors on things. Now this place was getting repainted and kind of redone up as we looked at this place. That was something that we took into consideration, but I just wanted to throw it out there in case you guys were like, Paige, it had like no doors on anything. There was a garage, and I wrote this with like 4 exclamation marks because it means we could park the car in there and then we could also store stuff in the garage, which was fantastic. I just am in love with the idea of having a garage. There was parking, which I kind of touched on. There was a spacious lounge and spacious bedrooms, which was really, really important to us. It had good storage. It had white walls, which I haven't said for like some of the other places, but most of the places we looked at had white walls, and that's really important for when I'm filming so that it doesn't look very, very dark in the background. The laundry is in a separate room, which really, really helped because I liked kind of having the laundry in like a separate little area. It had a backyard and it was fenced. I know we were definitely allowed to get a cat at that place. I wasn't sure about a dog. I think we did have to double check with the owner if we wanted to get a dog, but we definitely were allowed to get a cat, which was a big thing. And obviously with the backyard being fenced, that is great. The location was okay, like it was very, very private, which was nice, but in saying that, it was kind of down in like a cul-de-sac with like other kind of houses around, but the actual house itself was private. it had a bath. This is kind of like a pro and a con for us, and that it had a later move-in date because of the fact that it was being worked on. Hopefully I'm in kind of the same position. I just shut my camera off because I'm starting to get very, very low on my SD card at the moment, but I can't delete anything on both my SD cards because it's got all the wedding and all the moving footage. So we didn't want to move in together until after we got married, so it was kind of good that it had a slightly later move-in date. And then there was a train station that was near, which was great because it was quite far away from everything, so at least we could train everywhere. The cons, kind of touched on this before, but that the location was in a shared driveway with another house very close, so that kind of sucked, but again it was still quite private. This was something that we noticed that we needed to double check, but it looked like there was mold in the top of one of the wardrobes, but it was only on like the little square bit that you would use to get into the ceiling, and it wasn't anywhere else in the wardrobe or anywhere else in the flat, so we were a little bit confused by that. We also didn't know if that's why he was repainting, to try and hide the fact that it was damp, but it was definitely something that we wrote down as something that we would have to check if we wanted to move into the place. Again, the location was very, very South Auckland, so just quite far away from everything that we've kind of set up for ourselves here, which again isn't like a crazy con. It is something that you can kind of work around, but was something that we were considering. Again, I touched on this, but the fact that we may or may not have been allowed a dog. Again, another thing that we needed to check was that it may not have even been finished by the time that we wanted to move in, so it was definitely something that we had in the back of our minds, because obviously we wanted to move into a place like straight after we got married. And then the last con that I wrote was that it had an old person vibe with like a young person interior. So yeah, it was kind of a bit like the outside didn't feel like us, but the inside did. So yeah, there weren't actually like too many cons with that place, but definitely like the potential dampness in the wardrobe and the fact that it may not have been ready by the time we wanted to move in were definitely two massive cons that we were kind of thinking on. So yeah, obviously we have picked a flat, so we ended up going with flat 4, which is really, really great. We've kind of found ways to work around the cons, and so far this place has been absolutely perfect for us. Also really like how quickly we were able to kind of get things moving. The agent was very, very onto it with us. We essentially confirmed the place like the week after we got married. We came in as soon as we came back to Auckland, signed the contract, and then once we'd paid the bond we could start moving some of our stuff in. Yeah, we did want to move some stuff in before the wedding, but we literally just ran out of time. I didn't even have time to pack up my flat before the wedding. I definitely get excited for the moving vlogs. They're coming. Obviously the wedding series is still continuing. I still have like a few sit down videos that I want to get through, and then obviously to end the series I will put up the wedding video as well, which is super duper exciting. Yeah, if you guys have enjoyed coming along flat hunting with Phil and I, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Please make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. If you guys want to watch any more like moving content that I've done in the past, from like when I've moved up to Auckland, I'll leave that playlist down below and in the eye for you guys as well. And then yeah, there will obviously be a lot of moving vlogs coming and a lot of organizing videos. I'm super duper excited for you guys to see them. One of them is completed and the other one I am still currently filming. I think a lot of people weren't interested because the photos that were taken of this flat on Trade Me was so bad that I just think it put a lot of people off. It almost actually put me off. Then I was like, no, there was something about it that I was just like, no, you just need to go and see it. And literally the minute that I walked in, I fell in love with the place. I could see myself being here. It was great for hosting, very easy to have people over, and then everyone that's visited here has said this place is really nice and is great to have people over. And then we later found out that the owner's a Christian as well, which is so cool because we had no idea. So it's just so cool how God works stuff out like that. And yeah, he's definitely blessed us with this place, and yeah, definitely very, very grateful to have a really, really nice place. So yeah, it is a 2-bedroom place with a crazy amount of storage, a massive lounge, a massive kitchen, a massive bathroom, and then a laundry that we can kind of use as well, which is great. I'm super duper happy. Yeah, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this little video, and yeah, I shall see you guys in my next one. Bye.